Morning, fellow zombies. Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? Are we sleep deprived and emotionally screwed up? Because I sure as hell am. It's 4:19 in the morning West Coast time for Tuesday, the 10th of June, 2025. The zombie weaver trying to see if Roseman, California is here. Yeah, that being said. Alright, guys. Uh, great deal. Great deal of things happening. Actually not Camp Pendleton, but I'd gotten some stuff screwed up that I still have to get some corrections made on these things. I know I don't try to make corrections as much as possible, but I have to, especially when the facts get screwed up. I thought Pendleton was going to be sending over the Marines, but apparently 29 Palms was going to be sending them. Pendleton is just indeed a fine base out in Oceanside, but this place is out in Riverside. That's a hell of a distance. 2 or 3 hours driving, and they're in Los Angeles. Now, I had foreseen a problem on this one here. I should have foreseen this one. I should have just checked this one out. When you're doing deployments and you're going out to places and you're in the military, it's not where they're telling you the location at. It's where's your supplies at. I mean, granted, they probably give you about 2 or 3 days worth of supplies in a backpack, where you've got your equipment for the mission. And usually that would be ammunition. And that would be food, water, perhaps sleeping, if you're lucky enough, or you just sleep wherever. So the pictures that I kept seeing online, being passed around from group to group, it's always the same shot of where we have just got the National Guard in about 2 or 3 days ago to deal with our little invasion, insurrections. So we had to send out the National Guard to protect federal buildings when we actually protect one particular federal building or complex out in Los Angeles. I didn't realize that we had more federal buildings in each city. I should. And we have National Guardsmen protecting those places, with or without ammunition. Oh, but worse. How much money do you got in your pockets, pals? Because you're going to be needing it for fast food and maybe trying to get an Amazon order for a bedroll or at least a pillow. Because I had seen how these guys are sleeping in offices in the federal building. At least they have access to a bathroom. Maybe they have access to the water out of the faucets. But where's the grub? Candy machines? When you send a guy miles away from his base, you expect the United States government, you expect the Pentagon, and the schmuck who runs the Pentagon would think about logistics. No, he just wants bodies over there to threaten the hell out of people and scare the crap out of people who are protesting actions happening from a tyrant and a dictator being led on by fascists and Nazis and everybody else. But they're doing their jobs because they swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now they're looking at the insurrection. Oh, I'm sorry, are they insurrectionists? Or are they actually First Amendment protesters and due process protesters, not to mention Amendment 10. So basically, we're telling our knights in green armor, lightly, who are getting out the riot gears, that their own enemies, their own people, their own neighbors, their own family, friends, because the dictator said so through the mouth of fascists. So you're going into a federal building. Now what do you do? Get your marching orders, you look at the people, and they're looking back at you. Yeah, I know I've repeated this thing. I'll still repeat the topic over and over again to make that point clear to both protesters, and not to mention to the ones who are supposedly protecting buildings that represent a tyrant. But the thing is, it's not the federal building's fault. It's the one who's overseeing everything. It's their fault. You want to look at it that way. But it's also the voters' fault. I keep saying it over and over again. I know. I can't help but keep saying it. As I live and breathe and deal with a damn bug war here in my own damn domicile, I'm dealing with that particular threat all the time. I'm dealing with the threat of my dog of passing away from natural causes or anything else happening at this point. But for me, I'm looking at things and I'm asking myself, how did we get ourselves into this situation? We're looking at a potential civil war. But we in Los Angeles are not the only ones going through this damn mess, this identity crisis at this point, because we're seeing it across social media and we're watching it on national television. That other places besides LA are going through the same situation we are. So basically, we're telling the mistakes that we put in there. We're telling our Frankenstein creation that we voted in office. We're telling the beast, you're not going to overrule us. We're the people. We gave you the power. We're taking it away from you. We made you. We'll take you apart. So in this particular form of fashion, we've got Marines. We got the U.S. military. Ways of trying to find past the legal laws that we have out there to protect the citizens and the soldiers from killing each other. They called the protesters insurrectionists. That they're not allowed to protest, that they're not allowed to express their freedom of speech. If this was brought into a criminal court or a federal court, we would have to prove with all the records we have of how violations are being happened left and right in the law. Different laws being broken, Constitution being threatened, all because of actions taken of people being used as pawns for some ego. Our budget is going to be screwed up in the Senate. We're praying like crazy that the big, beautiful bill gets torn to shreds, handed back to the House of Representatives and say, fix it. They may or may not. But guess they're still under the thumb of the Trump. And he wants his big, beautiful bill. He wants his expenditures. He wants tax cuts for the rich again. Oh, he's going to save Medicare by shredding the damn thing. Say, see, I saved it for you. Turned it into confetti. Medicare's gone. Don't you love it? Social Security. Well, we can't touch Social Security. So I have Doge ruining it for you. And I said the voters are responsible because we allowed it to happen. They still can't say we didn't allow this to happen. They can't admit it to themselves. I can't. I can admit it to myself. I didn't do everything I could to prevent this whole damn situation. Therefore, I hold myself accountable, transparent, and responsible. Okay, fine. I admit that I was part of the problem. Am I part of a solution? In 12-step meetings, the principles that we kept learning about on a constant basis and reinforce all the time. We're either part of the solution or we're part of the problem. And if we are part of a solution, then we're not going to be part of the problem. We're going to be part of something that's going to modify, fix, amend, whatever it takes. We can't get it back to usual, but we can try. And what I can do personally at this point is tell people, is use my words, use my videos, and to tell them from my gut, from my heart, what my observations are. I already knew this guy was already a flake anyway, a long time ago. Now we bought it, hook, line, and suckered. We drank the Kool-Aid, now we got poisoned. Now we're zombies. We're Trumplicans. We're not zombies, guys. We're Trumplicans. Because we followed the Trump and his followings as he's taken people away from our arms, as he's taken away loved ones and kids, and throwing to different countries because of their own insanity, their own fascist ideas. Repeating history all over again. And yeah, I call it fascists and I call them Nazis. The thing is, we haven't built up the concentration camps because we have other countries that actually have concentration camps. Maybe not death camps, but still, jails will be considered a concentration camp of a sort. Processing centers are getting too damn full because we don't, actually the Trumplicans don't like people to say things against them, against their fearless leader, against the way of life that they've got. That is the thing. Those people who actually supported that kind of thinking, the maggot thinking, I didn't say MAGA, I said maggot, because that's what it is. Some of them are actually coming around. But how many are going to be showing up in Washington, D.C., seeing about 14, 15 miles of street being torn apart just because of an ego? U.S. Army would rather just let the thing go, not do the grandiose marches. That's not their style. They would much put it on social media and maybe smaller parties or other parties, maybe veterans gatherings, and said, "Thank you for celebrating us. We appreciate it." But we have a guy who likes parades. I hate to tell this asshole, but we've already had our parades. We've had our parades on the holidays when they actually called for it. Flag Day came up. Memorial Day came up, and we go to the cemeteries. We go to private places where we mourn. Veterans Day is where we pull out the pomp and circumstance. We pull out the red, white, and blue bunting. We fly the flags, and we celebrate those who are still living as veterans. But in a way, we also commiserate the ones that have also fallen as veterans. At least I do. But we have a birthday coming up on the 14th of the U.S. Army. They'd much rather keep their equipment in reserve, on standby, in good condition, in case we have another war to go to. But isn't it ironic that that kind of military equipment could also be used against the people that they protect? Now, they had sworn an oath to the Constitution of the United States to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And domestic would be the houses, would be the neighbors, would be backyard barbecues, would be families getting torn apart left and right. Families being sent to processing centers, and maybe, if they're found unworthy of the Trump one way or another, they get to be taken out by flights. treated as cargo and taken to different foreign countries where they don't belong. Where we have an administration keeps screaming that they want thousands and thousands of people captured. We want them captured. They're insurrectionists. They're dangerous. Right, I'm going to be looking at a newborn kid if I'm one of those agents or even soldiers. And I'm told and I'm screamed in my ear, you take this child and you throw him across the border. This child's sick. I don't care. It's an insurrectionist. And where's your piece of paper of loyalty to the Trump? And this is what our soldiers have to face. This is what they have to face. They're going over to cities, to their local places that they've gone to, maybe born and grew up in, and have to see their neighbors, friends, colleagues, spouses, children, maybe their own children, coming up to Daddy and saying, Daddy, what are you doing this for? Because I'm doing it for America. Because Trump told me to. Because you guys are insurrectionists. I think this would be the hardest damn thing for anybody to go through. They did. Honest to God, they did back in 1860. 1860! Civil War! Where we had several states of the North versus several states of the South. And in between, they were used as battle zones and destroyed people's homes and towns and lives with actual lead poisoning, with actual lead pieces, with actual explosions, with people taken prisoners on their own home soil, shot and killed, or even butchered to death to save lives. They had to saw off limbs without anesthesia or anything. Lifetime of scarring. Decades of healing that still haven't been healed. The wounds are still bleeding. The wounds are still bleeding. Throughout the generations. Throughout the centuries. The wounds are still bleeding. How do we allow this again on our soil? Because of someone's ego. And soldiers are blindly following orders because they follow the Constitution. But no, they can't follow the Constitution. It's illegal. Because their commander-in-chief says it is. Their commander-in-chief tells them they have to go to war. They have to go to war. They were lucky enough when they were on the buses coming down the freeways and streets that they didn't have the bullets in the chambers or in the cartridges. They're just going to show an empty gun and point it at people to scare them. And it's bad enough when the local law enforcement keeps saying, we don't need you guys. We're handling it. We got non-lethals. We can wound people in the leg. Doesn't matter if they're pressed or not, we can shoot them in the leg. They're foam, they're rubber. That won't kill them. Just one to warn them off. Or gas people, including those who keep reporting the truth. But the people who keep reporting the truth, they're the enemy, aren't they? Is the press now the enemy? Is the First Amendment now no longer valid? Is it? Because this is what we're seeing. This is what we're hearing. When I have a president so full of himself that he wants the Constitution broken, due process gone, habeas corpus gone, the First Amendment history, because it's inconvenient. Where he signs off verbally of arresting politicians who are fighting for the country, for the Constitution, for their own, and stopping this insanity of taking people out for the middle of the night, putting them in processing centers, and maybe they get transported to another country. Or else they'll get to stay in these processing centers, or worse than gulags. Or how about when politicians, the same ones we elected, try to do oversight? Huh? They try to do oversight. They try to see what was going on. And they get the doors slammed on them. And they get the guards pointing guns at them. At their own elected officials. That they themselves have put the name on the ballot. Or put whatever they could as indication on the ballot. That they wanted this elected official. Now they're going to threaten. Now they're going to threaten just with their silence. And the barricalolas, just whatever the masks they're wearing, to hide them from their own shame. Because they're following the Trump. The same damn creation monster we put in office the second time around. We did this to ourselves. We did this to ourselves. And the only way now, we'll yell and scream and freak out if we have to. And tell that madman, you're no longer king. You never were. You were supposed to be an elected official who did what we needed. We, the people, needed. I hope the rallies will be small for the king when he tries to celebrate whatever limited birthday he has. There should be other rallies saying we don't bow down to kings. And we're not bowing down to the Trump either, or his Trumplicants. I hope the elected officials get a hell of a lot of a headache by hearing from the people, one way or another. Fix this mess or else. They're already giving you guys the walking papers. Midterms are coming. You with your smug looks in one chamber who think nobody's going to touch you, nothing's going to happen to you. You did the right thing. You thought of Christian values, and that was all you needed. Midterms are coming, pal. Midterms are coming. And when they do change, and I hope to God Almighty they change, and I pray to Him about this one. I need to pray to Him hard about this one. Realizing that there's going to be consequences after it that we're not going to like. We are fighting for our country's survival, for our country's identity, for the past, present, and future. We're praying for those who have fallen in the line of duty to preserve this democracy, to preserve this republic, to preserve what we call America, and not let anybody screw it over one way or another. It's our job, our fight. We use words. We'll use posters if we have to. We'll march like crazy. But the one thing we won't do is cause bloodshed. But those who've sworn to the Trump, are you willing to turn this whole country into another damn civil war? Are we turning it into Gettysburg? Are we going to be turning into Lexington and Concord? Are we going to be having a revolution again? 2025 becomes that revolution. I hope to God we're prepared for it. One way or another.